In this video we're going to take a look at Microsoft Excel for iPad. We'll cover its overall features plus a few shortcuts to help you be more productive with this app. When you open the Excel app on your iPad, you'll be greeted with a screen giving you three options. You can create a new spreadsheet or select a template to start with. You can open a recent document, or you can open an Excel file from OneDrive, Dropbox, iCloud Drive and local storage on the device. For this tutorial we're going to start with a blank workbook. The editing screen is very much like what we find on Excel for PC and Mac, so should already feel quite familiar if you've used the desktop version before. To enter text inside a cell, simply double tap the cell and begin typing. The on-screen keyboard should appear unless you have a Bluetooth keyboard connected, in which case you'll just see the cursor start blinking. At the top you can see a number of tabs which are similar to what is found on a desktop version. We're currently on the Home tab, and it is here that we can make some adjustments to the look of the different elements of our spreadsheet. Now I've entered the title, I can make adjustments to the typeface, size, make it either bold, italic or underlined, and change the colour. Now I've made the title of the spreadsheet quite big, you can see that it spreads over several cells. What I'd like to do now is merge those cells. To do this, first I must select all of the cells that I want to merge. To select multiple cells, tap one of the ones you'd like to start with. You'll see two circles appear on the top left and bottom right of the selected cell. Simply tap and hold one of those circles, then drag across to make your selection. Merging cells requires you to use the Merge Cell function in the Home tab. This is found at the top next to the Alignment button. If you don't want to merge cells but would rather make them wider or taller, you can do this by holding down on any of the lines between the letters at the top or the numbers at the side and dragging them to resize. Okay, I've skipped ahead a little and input some data for us to work with in the tutorial. Nothing fancy, just some text and numbers without any formulas. Now you'll notice that in my first column I have a list moving in sequence, Object 1, Object 2 and Object 3. Instead of typing these manually each time, you can use the Fill option to populate the remaining cells in sequence. Tap the last cell in the list, then tap it again, choose Fill. You'll see two arrows appear on the cell, one pointing to the right, another pointing down. I'm going to drag the down arrow to give me another 5 objects in the list. This works just like the desktop version does, meaning you can use this to duplicate formulas for different rows and columns. Notice on the menu where we access Fill, there are other options too, such as wrapping text and clearing cells. In our other columns we have various sets of numbers. At the top, where it says General, we are able to change the format of the numbers in the cells. Notice how currently in the unit price column, these are just numbers instead of being displayed as a currency type with 2 decimal places. Now we can select the cells we want to alter the format of. Tap the number formatting menu, then select currency. All of these numbers have now been converted to a price with 2 decimal places. Two things to point out regarding this menu. Firstly, there are numerous options for dates, times and percentages, but next to most of these options is an eye with a circle around it. This gives us additional options. As you can see, for currency, we can change the symbol or alter the number of decimal places. The next option along from here lets us change the style of particular cells. Look at Object 1 on our table. We only have 9 of these in stock, so I'd like to highlight this as something that needs to be fixed. Select the cell, then choose the Cell Styles menu. From here, we can use any of the given presets to highlight the cells we want to draw attention to. The next button along from here allows us to insert and delete cells. Let's say for instance I want to insert an additional column in between unit price and stock value. I'll simply select the stock value column, then choose Shift Cells Right. Now we have some more space to enter in additional information. There is of course another way of moving content around. You can make a selection of the cells, tap and hold the selection, then you can drag to a new location. The final button on the Home tab is for filters. This is very useful for large spreadsheets with different categories of information that you would like to filter to view more easily. I'm going to add a filter to the header row of this table. Start by selecting the header row, choose Filters, and change the filter slider to On. As you can see, next to each heading, I can filter out by selecting the drop-down menu in each header. You can also use the filter option to rearrange cells in ascending or descending numerical order. Let's now move on to the Insert tab of the menu. The first option here lets you insert a pre-formatted table with filters in the header column. Useful if you want to make a table very quickly. Notice that now we've inserted a table, a new tab appears at the end called Table. This gives us additional options such as inserting and deleting rows and various styling options. The next two options on the Insert menu lets us insert images, either by selecting one from our device's photo library or by capturing an image using the camera. I'm going to insert a picture from my library. Notice again how another menu option appears at the end called Picture. Here we can adjust the style of the image by adding borders or changing the shape, adding shadows, reflections, or cropping the image. Now the Shapes button lets us add a variety of shapes to our spreadsheets, including text boxes, and there is also a separate button for this next to it too. Now the next two buttons are dedicated to graphs and charts. Let's say we want to take this spreadsheet and create a graph indicating the quantity of each object on the list. First of all, I select the cells I want to have represented on the graph. If I tap the Recommended button, Excel will give me a few charts it recommends based on the data I have in my spreadsheet. Tapping on one of these recommendations brings up the chart. Simple. Alternatively, I may wish to choose one of my own. For this, I choose the Charts button, select the category of chart, then make my selection. Now that a new chart is selected, once again we have a new tab on our menu called Chart. Here we can refine the graph we have made, either by picking a completely different type, choosing a new layout, adding new elements such as axis titles, picking a new colour scheme, or altering the style. The next tab along is for formulas, the first button being the one I use the most, which is for AutoSum. First of all, I'd like to know how many items I have in stock across all of my objects. I'd like to place this underneath the quantity column as a total. First of all, I tap the empty cell where I'd like the total to appear. Then I select AutoSum. It now presents to me several options including sum and average. For now, I will just choose sum. As you can see, the entire selection has been made with a moving dotted line. I'm happy with this automatic selection, so I can either hit Return on the keyboard or tap the green tick button near the top. If you want to enter in formulas yourself, this is also very easy. For this example, I'm going to fill in data underneath the stock value header. Here, I would like to know the total value of stock for each object on my list. Tap the first empty cell. Then I'll type in a formula that multiplies unit price by the quantity. So now this cell is populated with £180. Now remember, you don't need to type this formula into each cell. You can use the fill option by tapping the cell again, selecting fill, and dragging downwards. In the rest of this menu, there are many powerful formula tools which would take forever to demonstrate in this video, so I'll just show you each one. We have financial functions, logical functions, text, date and time, lookup and reference, maths and trigonometry, and several other functions available. Just like with AutoSum, you can choose your desired function from the list. The last button in this menu is for quickly adding up certain items without making any changes to the spreadsheet. For example, if I want to know the total stock value of all of my objects, I can select the cells, then tap this button. In the bottom right, a total is displayed without the spreadsheet being edited. If I tap this, I can find out other information too, such as average amount, number of entries, and minimum and maximum amounts. The next tab is very useful if you are sharing this document with other colleagues and want to leave some comments. Tapping New Comment allows you to leave messages for other people working on this document to read. The final tab gives us some viewing options for the spreadsheet, allowing us to show or hide certain elements such as the formula bar, grid lines, headings, and sheet tabs. We can also make this a right to left document or freeze a specific pane so it is always viewable at the top or the side. Let's now have a look at some of the other features of this app. Just like the desktop version, we can add new sheets by pressing the plus button at the bottom. We can double tap to rename it, and we can drag the sheets to rearrange them. In the top left we have an arrow with a circle inside. This is how we exit the current document. Documents are automatically saved, so you won't lose your work if you tap this. The next icon along gives us some document options such as enabling or disabling autosave, naming or renaming the document, printing, or viewing the author information. The next two buttons are undo and redo, allowing us to quickly get rid of any unwanted changes. Moving away to the right, we have a search function, which is very useful when working with larger spreadsheets. The settings wheel next to it lets us access the find and replace function too, with further search options such as looking through the workbook or the sheet. The final button in the right hand corner is the share button. This allows us to share with specific people if you have a OneDrive for Business account, or to email the document to another person, either as an editable Excel file or a PDF. You can also use the copy link option to generate a download link for this document from your OneDrive account once you have saved it. So that concludes our basic tutorial of Microsoft Excel for iPad. If you found this video useful, please support the channel by giving it the thumbs up, leaving a comment and subscribing. We also have other videos from Microsoft Word and PowerPoint for iPad, so please check those videos out too. I'll leave links in the description below. Thanks for watching.